In the final video on basicity and preparation of amines, we're going to talk about some exam-style questions. Before we do so, we'll go through these exam tips. Most amine questions are based upon synthesis, so practice synthesis. We go through how to do synthesis questions and make up synthesis questions in our synthesis video, so please watch that. Also, memorise the conditions, really important, and I'd recommend flashcards or, as I said, synthesis to try and get that done. Our first type of question is an MCQ. Now, we've got 4 different types of molecule, and we need to know which one is a secondary amine. So let's move this to the side and highlight what we need to know. So if in the exam, I would underline what I needed to know. Here I'm highlighting what I need to do. Don't make the mistake of doing the wrong thing or looking for the wrong thing. Then I would look at my 4 different things and I would draw them skeletally. I think that's the best way of doing it. If you're not good at skeletal, practice it. It's well worth it once you get good at it because it's much, much quicker. So there we have our first one, which is butane. So it's 4 carbons in length, and then we've got 2 amino. So there is our amino, and there is our ol. So the best way to do this is draw them out really, really quickly, unless you're good enough to notice it straight away, which one is the right answer. So dipropanamine, that means I've got 2 propyl groups on a nitrogen. So here is my nitrogen, there's my propan groups. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Remember, nitrogen has 3 bonds, so therefore my H comes on. Then I've got propanamine. So that means on the nitrogen, I have 1, 2, 3 again, 1, 2, 3. And then I've got 3 bonds. And therefore you have your H's there. Then you've got 1 cyano-butantuamine. Okay, so it's butane again. Okay, and it says 1 cyano. Now a cyano group is a CN group. Okay, and then butane 2, so 1, 2. Okay, and there you have your NH2. So we've got 4 different compounds or molecules that you've drawn, and I'd recommend drawing those, like I said, in the exam. All you have to do for secondary amines is look for the nitrogen that has 2 groups attached to it. So that nitrogen has 1 group attached to it, so that's a primary. That has 2 groups attached to it, so that is a secondary. That has 1 group attached to the nitrogen, so it's a primary again. This has 1 big group attached to that nitrogen, so that's a primary as well. So I know, for example, on this one, that the compound that's a secondary amine is going to be B. Okay, so it's really important that if you're doing this, you need to do MCQs really quickly, and if you're going to do MCQs really quickly, when you've got things like this, when you've got different compounds that you have to recognise certain traits in, it's much easier to draw them in skeletal, so I would recommend doing that for all these type of questions. Our second MCQ is based upon tertiary amines. So let's have a look and look at our 3 different molecules that we have. Again, try and do this before I do. Pause the video. And let's focus on the fact, what is a tertiary amine? Well, that's one with 3 groups attached to our nitrogen. So 3 different groups. Let's move it to the side and highlight what we want. We want the tertiary amine. So let's look at all of this and then just see what we think of each one. So first of all, we have got this CONH2. So if we were writing this out, this would be CH3CONH2 there. And it's well worth practicing structural formula like this. This group that we've got here, that group, hopefully you recognise that is an amide. Okay, so not a tertiary amine, so therefore we're not going to say that's the right answer. We then go for the next one. We've got an NH2. We're looking for 3 groups to this N. We don't. We have 1 large group here. Again, try and practice your structural formula because sometimes you're asked to do it. So this would be CH3, CH, NH2, and then it'd be CH3, CH2, sorry, CH3. Okay, so CH2, CH3. Okay, so we've got CH2, CH3. So again, look at it. That nitrogen has 2 hydrogens on it. It has 1 large group underneath. That is a secondary amine. Okay, secondary amine. Let's hope C is the tertiary amine. So then if we look at this, we go, right, okay, where is our N? Our N is down here. I've got one group here, so that basically means one group there. I've got my second group there, okay, and then I've got this absolutely massive group down here. Okay, but all of those are bonded to that nitrogen at the centre. So because it's bonded to the nitrogen centre, indeed, C is our tertiary amine. Okay, and that is how you generally look at it. Look for those different groups, and they'll mix up amides with your amines. It's what they always do to try and confuse you, so just get used to that. In this video, we've covered a couple of exam-style questions, and now it's your turn to try and do the exam-style questions that are in the worksheet attached to this video to improve your skills.